Trekking pole, 20 bucks. Other trekking pole, 200. Is that even worth it? Trekking poles. I'm a big fan. They invite your arms to the party when you're hiking uphill, take the pressure off your knees when you're going down, make pitching your ultralight tent possible if you're cool like me and carry a rad poleless dealie, and, do all manner of other things, from helping you keep your balance when crossing a creek to stringing up a clothesline at camp so you can dry your soggy socks after you slipped in anyway. The point is, trekking poles are great. I love them. You'll almost never see me backpacking without them. Hiking, maybe. Depends on what kind of incline we're talking about here. But definitely backpacking. Fortunately, there are like 4,500 trekking pole options out there. I counted. They're everywhere. Ultralight trekking poles, foldable trekking poles, easily deployable trekking poles, telescoping trekking poles, cork handles, plastic handles, aluminum, carbon fiber, bamboo. There's literally a trekking pole for every type of hiker. And when you start browsing the web or the aisles at your favorite local outdoor store, you're not only gonna see an overabundance of options, you're gonna see a stupid wide range of prices too. Like stupid wide. Not stupid as in these prices are undereducated or absurd, but stupid as in how the heck am I looking at a telescoping stick that costs $19.99 next to one that costs $199.99. It's the Wild West out there, I'm telling you. So we wanted to dive in here and talk about not only what makes up an expensive trekking pole, but whether or not dropping that kind of cash on a pair of sticks is even worth it. So for starters, when you're talking about trekking poles, there are a few features that set different types and brands apart. One is the materials, which duh, right? Most poles are either made of aluminum or carbon fiber. Aluminum is cheaper, so that's usually what you're gonna get on more budget-friendly poles. And carbon fiber is much lighter, but also more expensive, so chances are higher-priced gear is gonna be made of that. Then you've got handles and straps, which can make a bigger difference than you think. Plastic, cork, even foam is usually used on the handles, which are hopefully in some sort of ergonomic shape, for like ease of use. Straps, on the other hand, see what I did there, aren't as big of a concern to some as they are for others. For example, I'm a wrist strap user. If you use them correctly, they support your wrist better and give you more power when pushing down. If you have weak arms or wrists, a nice big padded strap can make a huge difference. That said, I know plenty of people who would rather give up their left shoelace than put their hands through the wrist strap. So whether a fancy strap and the fancy price tag that might come with it is worth it is a matter of personal preference. But the main thing that influences the price of a trekking pole is the design and the metal used. Take a pair of expensive poles, for example. They probably become super compact when collapsed. They're likely made of carbon fiber, so they're also very light. And if you're lucky, they come with a great warranty. As opposed to a $25 pair that probably has no warranty, are heavier, are too long to fit in your luggage even when telescoped to their smallest, and maybe have a slippery plastic handle. But the real question is, do these features make a more expensive pole worth it? I mean, you could easily shell out a hundo or more on a pair of trekking poles. And the answer to that is, it depends. Mostly on who you are, how much disposable income you have to blow, and what you plan to do with those poles. For example, I have cheap aluminum trekking poles I bought at Walmart probably 10 years ago. They're still in great shape. Yup, even after Josh bent one 30 degrees trying to keep himself from falling in a creek in Alaska. We just bent it back. Aluminum is super forgiving that way, and just kept using it. The handles on these poles are fine, even if they're not exceptionally comfortable, but they're sturdy and they've lasted for years of use and abuse. So anyone who suggests that cheap poles aren't gonna do the job, they're wrong. They just are. Where these poles aren't as ideal is when we travel. By air, I mean. They don't fold up small enough to fit in most carry-ons, not that you can carry them on anyway, which means you'd have to check full-size luggage, which we haven't even owned for years. Additionally, there are circumstances when the weight difference between cheap aluminum and expensive carbon fiber poles absolutely makes a difference. For example, if you're going on longer treks, and I'm talking a week or more, maybe even a multi-month through hike where you're likely to frequently lash your poles to your pack to be carried on your back instead of in your hands, well, then now weight starts to matter a little more. I mean, I'm an ultralight backpacker, so if I'm not going to be using my poles actively, I want them to be as light as possible so they're not adding a ton more weight to my load. On the other hand, if you're the type who almost always has your sticks in your hands, then a difference of 6 or 12 ounces for a pair of poles starts to matter a bit less. Of course, there's also the comfort aspect to consider. After using poles with cork or foam handles, I've decided I don't love hard plastic handles. They get slippery when wet and are more prone to cause blisters. That said, if there's a feature like a strap or handle that you like, or you have a hard time with, say, the latches on telescoping poles and think a folding pole would be easier for you, or you're a fast packer obsessed with shaving seconds off your gear up and go routine, then spend more if you can afford it and get exactly what you want. The bonus to that will be that you're more likely to actually go hiking and take your gear with you when you do, because you like it. If you travel with your gear often or put your poles on your pack as often as you actually use them in your hands, then spring for sticks that are going to suit your style of hiking and exploring best. On the other hand, if you're on a tight budget and you're not fussy and you just want a pair of good poles, well, then I've got great news. A $25 pair is absolutely gonna do the trick. I'll drop links to a few of my favorite options in all of those categories below. As always, thanks for watching. Slam that subscribe button and the thumbs up, and wander on, friends. Wander on. And watch some of these other videos, because they're great. Also, follow us on the socials. These ones here, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whichever one is your particular jam. And then, get your trekking pole on or something. I don't know. I like these ones. Thanks, Gossamer Gear.